Yes. Good morning. Happy Friday. And Caton is here with us on Humor, Grace, and Grief and the Friday Grief Chat. I'm Jill.
I'm Deb, and welcome to Friday. Hey, this is the third day we've had sun. I know you're having rain, right?
We have sun today, and then we're going to have more. We're going to have more rain from yesterday to next Wednesday than we have in the entire months of January and February combined.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're in the
you
middle of
are.
a hose, is what they called it.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Hmm.
You are.
But
And
you're getting sunshine. Those of you enjoying it, please go out and absorb all the
sunshine.
wonders of it.
We have had, I mean, it was so bitter cold. And oh my goodness. Well, Jill will come back on here in a minute. She just sort of popped out. I don't know what happened. We have, oh, there's Jill. Welcome back. Yeah. I think Caton
Hmm.
pushed a button with his little paw. Oh my
Yes.
God. Oh my
Yes,
God.
yes, yes.
So we are having sunshine and you know, not to underplay vitamin D, but my girlfriend made a suggestion because I was getting pretty grinchy. And so she said, I know the doctor said you could only take 5,000 micrograms or units a week. Why don't you go to 1,000 units a day for 5 days instead of taking it all at once and then letting it go? And for those of you that might be feeling a little grinchy, you might get your vitamin D checked. I highly recommend it. And yeah, that's
Oh, it
what
makes a huge difference.
it does. And even people in Florida need vitamin D. So in case you were wondering, do
And
it.
anybody who spends any significant amount of time in front of a screen, it drains your vitamin D from your body. You need more.
You need more. So definitely, I always recommend getting a test done from your doctor. But if you're doing something like me and need like maybe a little of a daily dose, think about getting some of the lower uh, international unit ones. They're less expensive, and get those and start taking them daily. I also, Judy, I hate when you nag me. I'm saying this to my friend, but I have gone walking 2 times this week. 20
Yay!
minutes. 20 minutes. That's all, but I'm schlepping my body along and it feels good. And now I'm going to get some shoes that I can walk outside with because why? It's good for your mental health.
Do
Do
you
it.
know you can get Crocs that have fur inside them so they're warm?
I do. I've
We
had
live in those
that.
in the winter time. Guess who
Oh,
put in her garden this week?
oh, you put in your garden?
I put in part of it. We had a small issue with a mint plant that started off in a 4-inch pot that burst through
Yes.
its pot and took over half my garden boxes while I was taking care of my mom last year. So we're still ripping some of that out. I've filled an entire industrial trash bag with mint plant, but
Yes,
I
you.
have my broccoli and my lettuce and my tomatoes are coming from Burpee Seed Company right now.
Yes.
Like, right?
Yes.
It's awesome.
I love it, Jill. I love it.
Yeah.
We don't, right about now, you would start pruning some of the trees. You might start some stuff indoors. This is the Midwest. It's probably going to still snow and be cold. So there you go.
We also put in an apricot, no, a nectarine and a peach tree. And the peach tree is already, even though its bare root is already blooming. And I put in a blueberry and a blackberry in their own pots so that they wouldn't get loose. But yeah.
Well, we had an in bulk blessing at our church the other day and
Hmm.
a whole ritual. It was wonderful. And I forgot I got these pawpaw, which is the only it's native to Illinois, southern Illinois, but you can also grow them up north a little bit. So I have some pawpaw seeds that I saved from eating it. I'd never tried it before. And so I'm going to plant those in a pot and
Get them started.
get them started. That sounds really great.
And why
Oh,
are we talking about gardening and outdoors? Because that's one of the best ways to cope
yeah.
with any kind of stress, but it's particularly helpful in grief.
It is. And some of the reasons is one, when you're feeling really empty inside, this is nurturing. And you don't just nurture a plant, it's like the act of nurturing translate to nurturing yourself. Right, Jill?
Right. It does. And when you're gardening in soil and you're actually touching the soil, it actually does change your brain chemistry and
Done.
improves your mood and helps you organize, and it helps with some of the executive functioning skills, because when you're gardening you have to think about where things belong and how to put them together in a way that works. And I don't know a single gardener who's putting things in who doesn't have a little bit of joy seeing things grow, that rebirth, that renewal cycle, right? All of
Exactly.
that.
Because earlier you asked about a metaphor for looking in the mirror.
Hmm.
And I said, that's reflections of life cycles.
Yes.
That's things that you do. You can use those as not just do things that you see can be metaphors for the way you're feeling. And another thing about gardening, while all weeds are not bad for a garden, some are, when I say bad, meaning they crowd out that which you're
Mint,
trying to
for
grow.
instance.
Mint, catnip, all those in the mint family, they are relentless.
They
And
are.
if you feel bad, and I'm gonna say that for Jill's, if you feel guilty for pulling all the mint, then take the mint leaves, lay them out, and they'll dry, or just use them fresh. Just put them into, just make sure there's no bugs or anything like that. Stick them in a baggie and just throw them in the freezer, and you can have fresh mint tea if that's what you want to do. And believe me, any little stragglers, oh, they'll flourish because
Oh,
they
they
flourish
will.
in cracks in the sidewalk. So,
If
you
you have a
know,
neighbor you don't like, for instance, just drop a few mint things or mint
yeah,
roots
that's
over
right.
the side, and there will be mint.
There will be men. And God said on the seventh day, behold, mint will take over the earth.
And then
So,
you won't have to think about, if you're out gardening, you don't have to think about Valentine's Day coming, because you're not in the
oh,
store where it's pink and purple and ruffles and pink and purple. And
wow.
reminding you that someone you love is no longer here, or someone you love is not going to be here, or that someone you loved didn't love you back, or whatever it is.
I tell this story every single year around Valentine's Day. My husband knows I really don't like Valentine's Day because of the anxiety, consistent anxiety that I had growing up. One, whatever card I made my mom or my dad, it just wasn't up to snuff, right?
Hmm.
Then I'd get something as simple as Valentine's Day Flintstone, but one would say yabba dabba doo. Another one might say, you know, you're no dinosaur. And another one would say this, or you're my friend for life, or whatever it says. I would be sick, literally sick, as I addressed them to my classmates because I didn't know who should get which one because maybe I'm saying the wrong thing. And so, my favorite part of Valentine's Day, I will admit, was making the box that you are supposed to receive Valentine's in, right?
Mm-hmm.
And my other favorite part would be having homemade cookies by some PTA mom. Unfortunately, that also was so stressful that all the stress leading up to and wondering what does this mean if I got a Flintstone Valentine and or whatever, and I would be so hyped up I'd raise my hand, but it was never soon enough to throw up every year in the hallway on my way to the bathroom.
Oh my goodness, the
Yeah.
level of anxiety.
Yeah, yeah, it's just that, and my last name is Hart.
Yeah, that
So,
doesn't help.
no. So, what I will do, and my husband and I have been doing, I'll find some old Valentines he gave me that we tried to always give it the end of January, the beginning of February, and so we could bypass that day. And then the other part is I would, and we recycle them. So, oh, there we are.
I
Oh,
don't
good.
know what's going on. This thing is just flipping all over the place.
Oh,
I
interesting.
apologize. Yes.
Um, I want to talk about something else. Back to the metaphor and gardening. What what do others, our listening audience, if anyone's listening now or people will be listening later, what have you done to mitigate or integrate loss? Jill, you're still, it hasn't even been a year. It's been what, 6 months maybe?
7 months. Yeah. Hmm.
7 months. What are a couple things that you have done to help integrate
My mom's
your,
absence.
yeah, your mom's and the death of your mom?
Um, I have done a lot of talking with her to adapt to talking to her out loud instead of talking to her in person.
Mhm.
I have also worn with conscientiously worn jewelry that she shared with my dad my dad made jewelry out of lapidary that he did. So I make a point of wearing that so that I can bring her and bring them with me wherever I go.
Mhm.
Um, I have made a point of strengthening connections with my sisters as we navigate this process together, and sort of taking on the roles of being mutual support, where before it came from top down, now it's parallel support between all of us,
Mhm.
and made a point of that. I've even put in some baby pictures of us that we found as we were going through stuff. So it's a matter of acknowledging that she has died, but that she's still part of life, and that the role she played is going to continue, and that the discoveries I make as I now age into life without mom there, I can do and still acknowledge her role in my life. So what Deb alluded to this morning was, I caught myself in the mirror because I'm staying at my mom's house until the house closes, and it should be closing escrow today or Monday, which is good and also devastating. It's a mutual feeling, right?
Yes.
Um, and so I looked in this mirror and realized my parents bought this house when my mom was 23 years old. And she lived there until she died at 86. And it saw her from newlywed to new mom, mom of three girls, to widow, to grandmother, and from blonde hair to silver. And in that same time, in that same mirror, I have done exactly the same thing, including the three girls. So there's that parallel play. as you
Mhm.
are seeing life transition. And so I've made it a point of really making that a conscientious part of my life and sharing
Mhm.
it to also give other people the opportunity to talk about their losses. It's not looking for sympathy or empathy, it's to
Mhm.
really share what it's like to live with loss and to survive and thrive in loss.
You know, this is one of the ways, and thank you for sharing that, because
Mhm,
there's a certain vulnerability that when you're grieving and you already
mhm,
know this, there's like, this is my best self for now. You know, in the future, a little part of you may know your best self will not take the hits so hard of grief, those grief waves that slap you upside the head or make your heart just start sobbing in the middle of nowhere. But you have a metaphor. That mirror represents lifetime. That
mhm.
mirror represents seasons of your mother's lifetime.
Right.
And and then you're also looking in it because she's lived next door for I don't know how many years. And then each of your kids have you've shown your kids that mirror, your
Right.
wives that mirror,
Mhm.
your yourself. And
In
that
fact, my daughter has seen her 3 kids born in that mirror.
that's
Right.
right.
Mhm,
So it's a reflection. By the nature of it being a mirror, it's a
mhm.
reflection. But there's other ways we can reflect the loss of a loved one, such as wearing clothing, jewelry. Do you know my mom died in March of 1998? Don't ask me to do the math. I still have two pieces of her clothing and jewelry I have.
Mhm.
I still, every once in a while, cling to that. But I want to show our listening audience something I got, oh, maybe 7 or 8 months after my mom died. And maybe it wasn't that much, but it was around holiday time. And
Oh, look at that. If you're not watching this, I'd encourage you to hop onto our Facebook page. This is a gourd
this,
that is just
it
gorgeously
is,
carved.
it's a gourd. And wait, that here's what, if I'm going to hold it up so you can see part of it. I
Wow.
think, and I'll tell you what I saw with this. I saw a, like, maybe there was a hole in this anyway, and the
Yeah.
artist um didn't
Discard the
want
gourd.
right. So she made something from the hole. Is it completely like this gourd is, you can still see through it. It's not completely repaired, but I saw my reflection in this gourd, that big hole in me from my mom dying quickly to the
Yeah.
fact that I had no parents to the fact that I was the top of the food chain and I had cotton for brains, that I wasn't completely here. I looked at this and said, eventually, I know something will be made out of that hole for me.
The
And
finding of the meaning.
I assigned that meaning. Nobody else did.
Right.
And, and, because people assign meaning. And I read, while I eventually like to get to the point of how does this make sense to me? What do I need to make sense? a lot of people say not everything happens with for a reason. Well, for me, just for me, I I accept that things do happen for maybe a reason, but I have to make the reason. You
That's a
can
really good way to put it.
you
Yeah.
can suggest a reason, but that doesn't mean I'm going to believe your reason. And I might not be ready for that reason. I might not be ready to see that. And maybe even something as beautiful as this, I couldn't, I wouldn't be able to have seen that in the beginning, but it
Right.
meant something to me down the road. I know that Steve just wrote
He
in.
gave us some of his thoughts. He
Yeah,
said after loss, continuing on with what Harel Sean wanted for me before he passed, was important. Becoming more spiritually active with the temple, opening the front door, and thanking him for providing me with a beautiful home, making special things for others. Thank you. And mostly continuing to tell and share our story with others going through the end of life experiences. He's always with me. That is one of those things to hold on to, just like that beautiful gourd. That reminds me of the Japanese art of when something breaks, you put
you
it
felt
back
the
together
gold,
again with the gold. Right. Right.
right?
I've seen a couple. I'd like to put together actually a grief workshop with that as the basis
Mhm,
for it, because
mhm.
there's that hole, but the mom hole is there. The spouse, for me, the spouse hole is there. The dog holes are there. The dad hole is there. You've got
Yes,
the parent holes, right?
yeah,
All
yeah.
of that is there waiting for us, but we can make something out of them. But we get to decide what.
I was watching Friends the other day, and let's say you're lost. I know who
Deb
watches.
watching Friends?
I
Yes,
was
we have
watching.
that memorized.
So what I saw was let me get a little sip. What I saw was Rachel hated her job, and Chandler and Joey, I think it was the two of them, said, "Quit. You're not happy. How are you going to, until you let go of something, will you feel the impetus of fear?" Yeah, it was Joey. And feel the impetus of fear. Well, she quits her job. She goes on a couple interviews and she got a job. And she hated that one too. And then she had the opportunity for another job, but she was for a short time when she didn't know where she was going. She was really upset that she quit her job. Maybe I should go back to my job. How many people, like in the throes of divorce, go, I can't do this. I'll do whatever
I'll
they
just put
want.
up with a bad marriage as long as I don't have to. Yeah. Uh huh.
Yeah. Yeah. Same
Right.
thing. How
Lots of
many
therapists
people?
do that when they open a private practice and it gets hard.
Yeah.
Okay, I can go work for someone else again. It's okay.
And it is
Right.
okay if that's what you need to do.
It is.
However, there's that little bit of loss in between. And
And the need to look for what matters to you, which is one of the
exactly.
biggest pieces of grief is I have just had a big loss, whether it is child, pet, parent, spouse, sibling, best friend. I just did a speaking engagement for the chaplains at our local
You
VA
did.
hospital. And, somebody brought up unacknowledged losses. And I said, which one are you thinking of? He said, my best friend. And there were tears. And I said, and nobody acknowledged you at the funeral or sent you a single card, did they? And he said, no. Right? When we have those losses, we have to make the sense of what that meant. So we talk through what it means to have that best friend and how you carry them with you.
Yes,
And by the time we finished, everybody in that room knew something about that friend and what that friend meant and who that friend's name was so that they could be remembered.
that's right.
That's what we need to do is to make the meaning
Make the meaning
and make the acknowledgement
and then look for your reflection.
and decide what you want to do with it.
That's right.
Right?
And so many like people who love nature,
Mm-hmm.
they look for their reflection in nature. They see their reflection of their belief system and of comfort and of life, because not everything in nature is beautiful, right? It can be pretty ugly. Maybe it's an animal mauling another animal, and that's the cycle of that life. Here in the Midwest, we have changes in the seasons that are bold and dramatic. Um, San
And
Diego,
downright scary sometimes.
oh, yeah. I mean, this isn't like San Diego weather,
Okay, wait,
right?
we flooded in San Diego this
Yeah.
week.
Yeah. That's not the usual and customary
Right.
of San Diego, but that's, seeing our rivers rise and fall here pretty normal. I mean, we're finally out of drought, and we have what we get in 2, 3 months. We got all last month. However, if global warming increases, the temperature increases, our river's going to go down again, and we
You're going to
won't
need
have
more
a creek.
rain.
Yes,
We're going to
yes.
send you some though, because our rain is
Okay.
coming your way, and we'll
You
be
know
happy to share as quickly as possible.
what? If there was a pipeline to do that, we'll take it,
Right.
right? Because you want that to go out to where it's needed.
One of
So,
the things when I'm working with someone who's grieving, and one of the things we talked about in the chaplaincy office the other day was when someone has had a major loss, that's when you can go back and revisit what did I want to do that I didn't let myself do, or
that's
that I stopped doing, and what was I doing that I perhaps really didn't enjoy doing, but was doing because of the context of whatever that relationship was.
right. Hmm.
What do I want to do now with all of that? How do I want to change that up? Right?
Hmm.
Do I want to drop it all and run off and become a florist? Which was my first thought when my first wife died. I'm going to be a florist now. All done. No more peopling. I'm going to hide behind the plants. Right? We can do those things as in the context of loss. And in the context of this February 14th thing, we can think, I don't want to participate. I'm going to order everything online for food, and I'm not stepping foot into a grocery store or even a 7-Eleven because they all have candy hearts out. Right?
You know, people who want to be married but haven't found somebody, and have little by little integrate the loss of what society expects, what they had
Mm-hmm.
hoped for, etc., etc. They didn't go, they don't want to see those hearts.
No,
That's just like depressing. Oh, everybody has somebody, you
it
know.
reinforces it. And besides that, the cost of flowers this month is nuts. It's absolutely nuts. And it's artificial, just like the day. You can tell someone you love them any day of the month and every month of the year. And it doesn't have to
There,
be someone you're in love with, it can just be someone that you care about deeply.
a friend of mine who has a business, I showed up to her business with Daryl the other day. Her father died a few weeks ago, and I kept thinking, oh, now's the time to give her some flowers, a little pick me up, because the funeral and all those things are done. And now we're coming into, a season of hearts. And also, she's probably starting now with probate and things like that. And I said, today's a good day for flowers. Well, if I buy a jar with flowers and all that stuff, you get half as many flowers as if you ask them to put it in a jar or wrap it up for, like, you know, $5 extra. So this huge bouquet that's going to last in a pretty jar with all that. And she was like, and I know she had to go and see clients, but just the same, she was so grateful she was crying.
Right.
And also because Daryl and I have been through this.
Mhm.
No, we're Sans parents, and we have been for a while, and that's weird for people that are in their 60s and even 70s that still have parents.
It's a big adjustment. Yeah.
It,
I'm having lunch with my girlfriend's group tomorrow. I'm so looking forward to it. But we have one person in our group who still has both parents. And most of us have none.
one of
So
one of
it
my
is a big jump.
it is another friend of mine, just about the same age. She still has her mother in her 90s, and I'm like, I don't have a clue. Yeah.
Yep.
We hope from today's show that you can see your reflection in gardening, in objects of art, in some clothing, or maybe you're like Rachel and you just have to keep moving on and moving through, I hate through, integrating a loss of a job, a loss that you don't have a loved one, Valentine's Day, you don't have all the Hallmark greetings of what other people have, or maybe you suppose that everybody has a perfect partner. I'm here to tell you you're wrong.
Yeah, no, there's no perfect.
There is nothing, don't believe those lies.
That is actually something we laughed about at the VA the other day, was
Yeah,
how many times we've been to a funeral and thought we were in the wrong place
yeah, that's
because that wasn't who we knew,
right, right. Or
right?
maybe you're in the wrong job. I
Or
know
maybe
some
you need to go buy some flowers and just to remember who they reflect for you that was in your life and the joy and the beauty they can bring you now.
bring your own vase. You get more
That's exactly.
flowers.
Yep, exactly right.
And buy the chocolate the day after, 2 days after. Don't buy
Yeah,
it beforehand. I
too
mean,
expensive.
yeah, it's
Mhm.
still good.
So next week we have a guest.
We do. And it'll be a surprise.
It's somebody who's got a really unique gift that they're bringing in, and a publication, and we will be putting it out on the airwaves over the weekend. We're excited about it. We hope you will join us back here. In the meantime, we are on the podcast platform, at Humor, Grace, and Grief. And you can find us even on Spotify. You can find us at Humor, Grace, and Grief on Facebook. And we look forward to seeing you next week.
And Friday Grief Chat.
Grief Chat.
Grief Chat. All
Yep.
right, everyone. Peace be with you this weekend. I hope you see new life growing in your area if you live in that weather zone, and you have an umbrella if you're in another weather zone. Enjoy the sunshine if you can be with it.
We'll see you next week, everyone. Bye.
Bye bye.